Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm David J. Jay and Tanel are off tonight. A dangerous night on the weather front continues as tornado warnings and hail blanket our region. Fall-size hail, rain, and dark clouds filled communities in eastern Montana. And for some, it's all too soon after the last round of storms. Now joining us is Bob McGuire, our chief forecaster. Bob, how are things looking now?
Did you see the size of those hailstones?
Yeah,
I mean, they were like baseball-size hail. It's still very busy right now. Let me show you what's happening out there. We still have a tornado watch for most of eastern Montana, most of western North Dakota. And look, we still got a lot of rain. The stuff out in the west, we're not worried about that. That's just light rain. That's kind of like a little leftover energy moving into the region. The big stuff is over here in the southeast corner of the state. That's where we've had all the big thunderstorms tonight. That's where we've had several tornadoes in Carter County, severe thunderstorm warnings. A lot of that hail has been moving in. And at the moment, we have a flash flood warning for Miles City. They've had 2 to 3 inches of rain in a 90-minute period there. A lot of intersections in Miles City are flooded right now. A severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Carter County. They've had golf ball to tennis ball size hail. And take a look at some of the other reports we've had. Tornadoes over Capitol in Carter County. Albion had a tornado. Funnel Cloud at Hammond. Broadus had 1 3/4 inch size hail. And Miles City had 2 inch size hail. That's just some of the reports. Look at all the reports there. It's just been a very wild and active night. Things will be winding down probably later tonight after about 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's go back to David.
Okay, thank you, Bob. At least 5 people were killed in what police are calling a targeted attack after a man angry at a newspaper decided to get revenge. Kyla Atwood has more from the scene in Annapolis, Maryland.
This Annapolis office park became a crime scene Thursday afternoon. Police say a gunman opened fire at a newspaper office, home to the Capital Gazette.
Several shots have been fired, possible shotgun, at least 10 shots heard.
A reporter at the paper said the gunman shot through the glass door into the newsroom. He tweeted, quote, "There is nothing more terrifying than hearing multiple people get shot while you're under your desk and then hear the gunman reload."
This person was prepared to shoot people.
5 people were killed and at least 2 others were injured.
First victim's name is Wendy Winters. Second victim is Rebecca Smith. Third victim is Robert Hyacin. Fourth victim is Gerald Feshman. And the 5th victim is John McNamara.
Police arrived at the incident within a minute of the first emergency call.
He was taken into custody by officers. There was no gunfire exchange between officers and the suspect.
CBS News has learned 38-year-old Jared Ramos is being questioned in connection with the shooting.
Police aren't confirming, but sources tell CBS News the suspect damaged his fingertips to prevent quick identification. Authorities ultimately used facial recognition software to confirm his identity. Police say threats against the newspaper were made on social media prior to the shooting, but they're still determining the source. Detectives are interviewing more than 100 people who were in the building at the time as investigators go over the crime scene. Kylie Atwood, CBS News, Annapolis, Maryland.
The police say Ramos also used canisters of smoke grenades as he entered the building. And following his son's visit, President Donald Trump is coming to Montana. His trip confirmed by a White House deputy press secretary. White House says the commander-in-chief will be in Great Falls on July 5th. Montana is a battleground state, and the president is hoping to gain support for GOP candidates Matt Rosendale and Greg Gianforte. Trump was last in Montana during his presidential campaign when he stopped in Billings in May of 2016. An event page that details what the president's visit to Great Falls was available, but it was pulled down for an unknown reason for about 15 minutes after it went live. President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin have met before on the sidelines of larger gatherings, but now they're announcing their own summit set for next month. Angelica Alvarez has the details from the White House.
President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are planning their first summit in Helsinki, Finland on July 16th.
I've said it from day one, getting along with Russia and with China and with everybody is a very good thing.
National Security Advisor John Bolton finalized plans for the summit when he met with President Putin in Moscow this week.
But it's important for these two leaders of these two critically important countries to get together and discuss their mutual problems and areas of cooperation.
While President Trump says he's been tougher on Russia than any other American president, he has pushed for Russia to be brought back into the G7 economic group. Russia was expelled after invading and annexing Crimea.
They threw Russia out
They should let Russia come back in.
And this morning, the president tweeted, Russia continues to say they had nothing to do with meddling in our election. Still, Trump administration officials insist Russian meddling will be a topic of conversation at the summit next month.
I am confident when President meets with Vladimir Putin, he will make clear that meddling in our elections is completely unacceptable.
Tuesday, Congress heard testimony. Russia is already trying to interfere in the upcoming midterm elections.
Do you believe you're going to see continued attempts at foreign interference in our elections?
I think we can see the troll farms at work. We all read social media, so I think we can see the evidence.
There are multiple investigations into Russia's 2016 interference, including special counsel Robert Mueller's probe, which President Trump calls a rigged witch hunt. Angelica Alvarez for CBS News, the White House.
The president will already be in Europe for a previously planned NATO summit in Brussels on July 11th and 12th, followed by a visit to Britain on July 13th. In an 86-11 vote, the U.S. Senate has passed its version of the Farm Bill. This all comes before a week-long recess for senators. Now, with two versions of the bill available, the House and the Senate must now resolve any major issues between the respective bills before the September 30th deadline. The biggest difference now stands at what to do with the SNAP program. The House bill would require able-bodied adults without children under the age of 6 to work a minimum of 20 hours per week in order to keep their benefits. The Senate bill avoids any changes to the topic entirely. Right now, the White House supports the House's version more, but has not ruled out the Senate's bill quite yet. And a new video tonight of the Rockslide that damaged a Billings home underneath the rims Tuesday night. City officials still taking a closer look at the slide scene that, while concerns over the stability of the rock face linger. Geotechnical experts from Terracon have completed an initial assessment. The results confirm instability in adjacent areas of the rock face. A deeper investigation is ongoing, and any plans of action will wait until that assessment is complete. Terracon has worked with the city in the past on issues surrounding the rims, including the 2014 slide that closed a portion of the Zimmerman Trail. Because of concerns about the stability of the rock face, the Billings Fire Department has asked residents of the two homes seen in the video to evacuate until final assessments are completed. And we have been told that one family has left its home, and the person living at the house most damaged has remained at home. The man charged with killing former Bighorn County Sheriff William Joy is now facing homicide charges by Asheville, North Carolina police. Donald Gray Jr., a transient from North Carolina, abducted and stabbed Joy to death earlier this month, claiming he needed a car. He had only been in Billings for about a week and was looking for a way back to North Carolina. The new charges stem from a missing woman case from May. Body was found on May 28th in Junction City, Kansas. However, the body was in such bad condition its identity was not immediately known. The body was later identified as 59-year-old Tamara Ann Gibson. She was reported missing on May 24th from Asheville, North Carolina. Her car was found burned in a case of arson in Laramie, Wyoming on June 1st. Gray Jr. is now facing charges of kidnapping, robbery, and first-degree murder in the death of Gibson. Gray Jr. is still being held at the Yellowstone County Detention Facility. Tom Brokaw says cancer has given him a look at people in the medical profession. The former NBC Nightly News anchor spoke in Billings this afternoon. Billings Clinic hosted the talk by Brokaw. Brokaw talked about the need to work together on health care and other issues. He says besides his family, his greatest accomplishment is his book, The Greatest Generation, which told stories about Americans during World War II. He says being diagnosed with multiple myeloma has educated him further on those who take care of patients.
Having cancer has been one of the most instructive experiences of my life because I came face to face with mortality. I learned, most importantly, about the people who dedicate their lives 24/7 to trying to find a cure, to make my life easier and the lives of people who have all kinds of cancer easier as well. And I have become, even more than I was before, this enormous advocate for the people who are involved in healthcare in this country. We've got a lot of issues that we're dealing with right now, politically and culturally. But the one thing that we can be most proud of is that we are the country that leads the world, not just in compassion, and not just in resources, but in dedication of the people who want to help their fellow citizens be better and to get through life.
Tom Brokaw said hospitals are an example of how the country should work, with people showing up for work to help the patients. Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, it's a breakthrough that could give some cancer patients hope. Find out the latest in the fight against brain cancer. Plus, the buck starts here for this business. Check out how a Montana ranch is helping out rodeos around the country. And in sports, from the Bahamas to Billings, meet this Mustangs outfielder who's always smiling.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.